Rivalry weekend in the Pro 14. Irish teams up against each other. Thank you to Sean. He commented on my Bristol and Newcastle video to ask me if I was going to be watching these games. And I hadn't actually planned what I was going to watch. And then I looked up. Have lost, but are still third. So in terms of what's at stake this weekend, there seems to be a fair bit amongst these Irish teams. So, yeah, let's have a look. There seems to be, from the lineups, a fair few young guys getting a crack as well, which is quite pleasing. A lot of the big guns, and you guys might have to let me know if it's injury, COVID stand down, rest, what is it, why we're missing seemingly quite a few of the big guns from all of the lineups. But yeah, I'll go through the two games, lineups, odds, and yeah, you guys can let me know how you reckon these ones are going to go. I'll start with the Ulster and Munster game. As I said, neither of these teams has lost. Ulster's first in Conference A. They are 9 from 9. Pretty bloody good. Top point scorer in John Cooney. I think Marcel Coetzee is the top try scorer in the Pro 14. I don't watch the Pro 14 week in, week out, so that was just a quick glance at the stats page. They seem to be doing pretty bloody well. Munster 7 from 7, first in Conference B. So it's a Clash of the Titans match, apparently, across the conferences. Should be a lot to play for, really. Someone's going to walk away with a loss to that perfect record anyway. I start with Ulster. O'Sullivan, Herring, and Moore is a pretty familiar front row. Treadwell, Carter. Matthew Ray is a guy who I've gotten to see, I guess, a little bit over the last, how many months? 6? Seems like a pretty solid player. David McCann. I can't recall seeing him play, but I probably have. Timoney I've definitely seen. Billy Burns gets the nod ahead of Madigan at 10. I think Madigan's up there amongst the top point scorers as well, but Burns is still good. McCloskey and Hume is again, familiar midfield. McCloskey brings a bit of bulk. That's for sure. He's going to keep the Munster midfielders busy, especially without Damon Dalende. McElroy and Faddis are your wingers. Faddis I'm more than familiar with from his days with the Highlanders here in Super Rugby. And Stockdale resumes duties at fullback. Interestingly, Marcel Coetzee is the bench man for this week. And what we now know is going to be his final season with Ulster. When I looked up the stats for the Pro 14, man, Marcel Coetzee is up there with so many categories. Tackles and turnovers and carries and tries. And the guy just does absolutely everything. So, interesting that he is on the bench. For Munster, I swear I know Craig Casey and Ben Healy now. I've only seen them in the last few weeks, to be honest with you. And they look the business. Both these guys seem to have pretty big futures. I can see there's a Wycherley in the lineup, but it's Finian? Bro, Irish names can be tough. Fineen. Wycherley. The lock. I've seen the prop the other day, and he was bloody good. It's got to be Feenan, surely. He's got a pretty experienced partner in Billy Holland alongside him. Clota's there. Is it Cloita? South African name. Goodness me. O'Sullivan and O'Donoghue in the back row. John Ryan, Niall Scannell, Liam O'Connor in the front row. Like I said, Rory Scannell is going to be the man opposite McCloskey. Shane Daly's at fullback. You got Kukoin and Marshall on the bench. But man, there's a lot of guys noticeable in their absence, right? I mean, I'm pretty bloody stoked to see Healy get another crack because from what I've seen him against Quins the other day when he got injured, he looks like he's got a big old boot on him. He's a pretty big lad. So, yeah, he looks like he could be a good prospect. And Casey, there's no Murray, there's no Hanrahan, there's no Damon Dalende, like I mentioned. So, no Peter Amani. Is this just rest? Seems like a pretty big game. First against first, so insights, man. Like I said, it does seem like both sides have mixed it up a little bit, but maybe Munster more so than Ulster anyway. The bookies over here in New Zealand have got Ulster by 7 at home, and Rugby Forecast algorithm has got Ulster by 3. So picking that one to be a bit closer. That one's on at 6:15 in the morning for me here in New Zealand. I think it's 5:15 in the evening local time. And then, straight after that, you get cracking on to another big game, and seemingly a few more younger guys who are getting a run. Leinster, 7 from 7. Connacht have played as many games, but have lost 3. But as I said, they are still third on the table. Dooley, Tracy, and Bent are the front row for Leinster. That's not the front row that I'm more familiar with seeing. Maloney and Toner. Toner, I know. The big man. But Ryan Baird, wasn't he playing second row the other week? Penny is at 7 and Levy is at 8. Thank goodness Levy's there, because I know him. It's good to see him, back after having such a big injury layoff and seemingly doing pretty well. Like, I saw him play, was it a few weeks ago? And he was either man of the match or should have been man of the match, and it might have been Baird. I can't remember. Scott Penny, I can't picture his face, but when I look up the stats, it seems like he's a pretty useful ball carrier and a good turnover merchant. So that's promising. Maybe I've seen him. Too many rugby players, man. McGrath and Sexton is a very familiar 19 combo. O'Loughlin and O'Brien, 12 and 13. Andrew Smith's on his debut. You got Dave Carney, experienced on the left wing. And then Max O'Reilly also on his starting debut anyway. At fullback, you got Cronin, you got Conan. You got Connors. I think it's a 7-2 split. You got all the C surnames on the bench. So, I mean, you Leinster guys always tell me when I'm like, I don't know this guy, that he's some like 21-year-old under 20s star who's going to be like the next big thing, because there just seems to be a bloody factory line producing players over there in Ireland. Like, all the teams seem to have more depth than they know what to do with. So, not a bad thing. For Connacht though, I guess a little bit more familiar. There's a few guys who are doing at least statistically well. As I said, I don't watch this competition week in, week out. But you got Buckley, Delahunt, and Robertson McCoy is the front row. Thornbury and Quinn Rue is the second row. Masterson, is it Owen? It's just got to be Owen, right? It's not Ewan. Irish names in the spelling, it's hard for me to remember. I'm going to go with Owen Masterson, the blind side. He's got potentially pretty poor discipline in terms of his penalties conceded. He's one of the highest guys in the Pro 14. Is he any good? Oliver and the other Masterson, that's Sean, whose name I can pronounce, is at number 8. Blade is number 9, and he is one of the top try assist mans in the Pro 14. So, I mean, he's always been a good player, so good to see him having a stat which kind of reflects that. Jack Carty's there at 10, so his battle up against Sexton will be a fun one to watch. Daly, that's Tom, and Arnold at 12 and 13. Alex Wooten, man, he's got stats all over the place. Huge clean breaks, run meters, like he's got, very, very good numbers. I'm going to have to keep an eye on him. Sullivan and Porch's numbers were also pretty good. Fullback Alton Delan on the bench, Kieran Marmian's on the bench, so it seems like a pretty much changed Leinster squad, but as I mentioned, they always seem to have tons of depth, and the bookies have got them by 21, despite seemingly shuffling the pack around. 21 points, and Rugby Forecast algorithm says by 19, so not giving Connacht much of a show. I hope it's a bit closer than that, but yeah, all these C teams seem to have some names that I'm not as familiar with as I should be. Hopefully I will become slightly more familiar with them as the week goes on. But yeah, definitely a bit of youth coming through in Ireland, in those 4 provinces, which is, pretty pleasing for the Irish national team going forward. But yeah, you guys let me know how you reckon these ones are going to go. Are you backing the 2 home teams to get the jobs done? Any of these guys I need to look out for, do let me know in the comments. It honestly helps me become familiar with the players that, as I said, I don't see play week in, week out. And I know one thing from the Pro 14 is it seems that some guys tend to play in the Pro 14 and then they bring back some of the other guys for the Heineken Cup, and then they kind of rotate them in and out. So, yeah, there's definitely guys I don't get to see enough of. But yeah, gonna go. Take care, guys, and talk to you again soon. See you later.